Welcome back to video number 2. We're going to do a quick review of what we talked about in video number 1, which was primaries. So if we look at the graphic organizer, if we recall, there are 4 types of primaries: closed, open, nonpartisan, and blanket. Quick ideas for each one. A closed primary, obviously you can only vote for a specific political party. You must be registered in that party. Open is considered the pick-a-party primary, in which you pick and choose who you want to vote for regardless of political party, but it still lists the political party next to the candidate's name. The next one, the nonpartisan, non meaning no, partisan. In this way, we are going to look at it as a party, so no party. So in Nebraska, one of our elections for the legislature, for example, is nonpartisan. And then our blanket primary, which is you pick and choose from the different offices which party to vote for. This is very rare and not used in a lot of states. In order to help illustrate what a primary looks like, I have chosen a Republican sample ballot from a primary election in 2012. If you will notice, for the President of the United States, it says vote 1. And in this list is our current president is not listed. Again, this is a Republican sample ballot, so only the names of Republicans would be listed in this primary. If we think back to the activity you did today, this is the part of the bracket where we are trying to get to the next game, so to speak, in order to have a winner chosen between the final 2 players. Here is a picture of the Democratic sample ballot from that same year. Again, if we look at the United States President, it says vote 1. You will notice that there is only one person indicated in that position, which is President Barack Obama. There was no one running against him in the primaries, and the reason for that is he was the incumbent, or the candidate in office, the person who currently held the office, and normally the incumbent receives the nomination again for that upcoming year. So again, he would be listed only on the Democratic sample ballot for the primary election. Finally, the ballot you would be looking at is from the Nebraska State Legislature. Again, the primary election from May 15th. You will notice on this ballot there is not a political party affiliation listed. The reason for that is that, again, in the Nebraska State Legislature, we are a nonpartisan state legislature. So when we elect the members for each one of the districts, and you can see the different districts listed here, that they do not indicate which political party that they would associate with. This is a nonpartisan ballot. Okay, now we're going to continue on with the second part of our lesson, which is going to talk about the road to the election, or the steps in order to get nominated as a candidate for a specific political party. So if we look at the graphic organizer I have listed here, please stop, go ahead and pause the video and write this into your notebook. And as we go through here, we're going to look at the adding to each part and adding some notes as well. So the first step is the announcement. Normally when candidates announce, it's usually a self-announcement. It's also considered throwing your hat into the ring. Some people will have press conferences, others will have a big public event that they go ahead and announce at. Still others might use social media to announce their candidacy. Along with the self-announcement, you also have people who possibly will send out an exploratory committee to look at first if they believe that they have enough of a base, a supporter base, to go ahead and start the process. This can take several weeks, and usually they're sent out to kind of test the waters to see if they're even a viable candidate for that election. Second is to establish the campaign. You need help to win. In order to do that, you have to have people, an organization of some sorts to get you started. This can be very small and very volunteer. It could be a grassroots campaign, which means that it's working from the people up. Others will set up a campaign of professionals, and in those professional groups, you have people that might be a campaign manager, You also have a media consultant, a fundraising specialist, accountants, lawyers. All of these people can be involved in establishing a campaign organization. Step number 3, building a war chest. What exactly is a war chest? Well, if you think about it, as far as money, you think of pirates and where do they keep their money? They would always be found in a treasure chest. So I want you to pick that idea in your head. And we're building or putting money into a chest. Why are we calling it a war chest? Well, it's the same idea as if you are going to war, you need money. So candidates need to build their war chest or money. They are going to do this through a variety of techniques, which you might want to list underneath of here. Things like phone calls. They might have fancy dinners, $1,000 plate dinners, where you are going in order to give money to express your support for that candidate. The other thing that you might see them do is direct mailings to people. You also see on different websites where people are asking for money. And here's a good example. Pete Ricketts, who we found out was running for governor in the primary elections in Nebraska as a Republican, when you visit his website, this is the first thing that pops up. You will notice that it asks if you would like to contribute to his campaign. And you can contribute in small increments, such as $5, $500, or you can choose another. This is the first thing that pops up when you get to his campaign. This is a way to show support for a candidate. The next step on our process is to develop a strategy. Candidates have to decide who they're going to target. We need to know what kind of a theme they're going to take on and what their tone is as they continue on in campaigning for election. So underneath of develop a strategy, go ahead and write the words tone, theme, and targeting. So in tone, it's just as you would think. Is it going to be a positive tone or a negative tone? What are you going to aim at? What specific things are important for your election campaign? So are you going to look at the positives of yourself? Are you going to look at the negatives of other candidates? We also look at theme. Every candidate needs a theme. It can be simple, appealing. It needs to get its idea across over and over and over again. And again, we're going to look at Pete Ricketts' site to look at what his theme might be. So here's Pete Ricketts' campaign site once again, and you'll notice up in the corner where it says theme, the very bald and very bold conservative. If you haven't seen this commercial, you may be seeing it in the near future.
There's some things you ought to know about Pete Ricketts. He's a businessman, not a typical politician. He's pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, and he has a plan to stop runaway property taxes, fight Obamacare, and reduce spending. Plus, Pete is very, very bald.
I'm Pete Ricketts. It's time for something different. Fundamentally changing the way state government works and changing the kind of people who send it.
Pete Ricketts, bold, conservative for Nebraska.
So Pete Ricketts, his theme is a bald conservative running for governor of the state of Nebraska. The last one, targeting. Who are you going to target your message to? This might be, we might look at an area, if you are focusing on Social Security, then you might be targeting an elderly audience or your senior citizen audience. If you are looking at immigration reform, you may be targeting a different population of people for that purpose. So targeting is an important part of developing a campaign strategy and theme. The next step is reaching voters. Underneath here, I'd like you to go ahead and write retail politics, wholesale politics, and micro-targeting. In order to reach voters, you need 3 different ways. One of those ways is retail politics. Just like if you would go to a retail store, you're going to have someone greet you, they're going to talk to you, you're going to check out with someone. Think of going to the Buckle. You can't walk into the Buckle without someone coming right up to you trying to help you. So that retail style politics is a meet and greet. This is where we would say kissing babies and shaking hands. You're going to do parades and dinners and local events, but it's very much a one-on-one meeting people style of politics. The next one is wholesale politics. Just like you have a wholesale store such as Sam's Club, you're going to do it in bulk, which might be a media tactic. You might send thousands of letters all at one time. The internet is a big site for wholesale politics. It's not directed at any specific group. It's not one-on-one. It is mass. So think of bulk in the form of Sam's Club. It comes in huge quantities. The last one is micro-targeting. This is where we are going to get a specific message out to a specific group of people. Micro meaning small, target, obviously think of a target. You're going to have a small target, and that's who you're going to be talking to. And the final step in the process is the nomination that you receive from your political party to be their elected candidate to go ahead and run in the general election, which is held in November. So as we work through the steps, you as a group are going to analyze a current candidate for a Nebraska office and kind of follow them through these steps. So that's what our task is going to be tomorrow. So as far as receiving the nomination, there's different ways to receive the nomination. Obviously, by winning the primary, you would receive the nomination. And typically, those nominations have been formally announced. Even though we usually know the winner of the primaries beforehand, those are announced at political conventions. And in this video, you will see the Democratic National Convention and President Barack Obama.
Thank you so much. Tonight, I am so thrilled and so honored and so proud to introduce the love of my life, the father of our two girls, and the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
So to wrap up this video, we talked about the steps involved in being elected to a political office, the steps involved in campaigning, the first one being announcement, establishing a campaign, building a war chest or gaining money, developing a strategy, reaching voters, and finally receiving a political party's nomination either through an election process in the primary or receiving it at the National Convention, as we just watched with President Obama, who again was the incumbent or the candidate in office. So tomorrow, we're going to look at and be assigned your specific group or your specific person to follow through the process, and you will be looking at their websites and adding some information for each one of them there.